The two girls knocked on the stranger's door on a rainy night and wanted to stay here for one night. The man wanted to open his mouth to refuse, but the blonde girl was so passive that she suddenly sneezed. But the man moved the heart of the silhouette for a while. Looking at the wet appearance of the two of them, he finally decided to lend a hand and generously invited the two girls into the house. As everyone knows, it is this kind of act that will soon bring ruin to himself. Seeing that the girl entered the house for fear of soiling the floor, and carefully put on shoe covers, the man completely let down his guard against the two. He thought that he was too cautious just now. How can there be so many bad people in the world? So he hurriedly came to the bedroom and intimately took out 2 blankets for the girl. Not only that, after learning that the two of them were wet because of the rain, the man immediately called an online taxi for the two of them. But due to the heavy rain, the driver could not arrive until an hour later. Seeing that the girls had to wait so long and were still wearing wet clothes, in order to prevent them from getting sick, John not only provided clean bathrobes for the two, but also made hot coffee intimately. And even the wet clothes of the two, John was also enthusiastic to take it to the washing machine to dry them. But at this moment, there was a sudden noise in the living room. John hurriedly came out to check the situation. It turned out that the girls opened his record player without permission, and held his dog dancing beside him. Seeing that the girl was interested in his record player, John instantly came to the interest. At this time no man would refuse to fill the cup, but he didn't expect that he had just said 2 professional things. The 2 girls hugged him left and right, and their eyes were worshipping. This sudden scene suddenly made John at a loss. He hurriedly got up and sat on another sofa, thinking that the distance was far enough, and the girl would not do anything out of the ordinary. But who would have expected that the next second, the girl had been sitting for too long, and on the grounds of back pain, she inadvertently came to John's side again, and put her hand on his shoulder. Realizing that they might be trying to do something to him, John quickly got up and sat on another sofa, but unexpectedly, the 2 girls sat down with him, and the close contact made John guess that the 2 girls might want to dominate him. In order to prevent their next step from crossing the line, he hurried to the record player and played music, trying to divert the attention of the girls, but he never expected that as soon as the music started, the blonde girl scratched her head next to her and danced hotly. If it weren't for John's full concentration, he would have been corrected by the 2 girls on the spot, but when he was pulled by the girls to dance together, under the left and right attacks of the 2 girls, John finally couldn't resist being taken down by them, and waited until the next day when John woke up. Seeing that there was no one next to him, he thought that the 2 girls had left last night, but who expected to come to the kitchen to find that the 2 girls not only did not leave, but also made a mess here, which made John, who loved clean, angry. He shouted angrily and told them to get out of the house quickly, and watching the 2 leave, John finally breathed a sigh of relief. But how could the girls give up? The girl rubbed back and forth on the man's face with her stinky acid, and asked the man morbidly if he liked it. The man couldn't stand the smell, so he kept struggling desperately, but because his limbs were firmly tied to the bed, he could only beg the girl to let him go. But the girl was not only indifferent, but also slapped him madly. The man was helpless to be held by a girl all night, and when the girl left, he hurriedly broke free from his restraints, and then quickly came to the living room, and pinched the girl's companion who had not had time to leave, but the other party suddenly pierced his shoulder, and then the cruel girl took the fork and kept spinning, so John quickly fainted, and the reason why he was so pitiful was because just a day earlier, 2 wet girls came to knock on his door on the pretext of hiding from the rain, and saw such a situation. Kind-hearted John hurriedly invited them into his room, and kindly let them stay at home for the night, but he never expected that his action would be to put himself in the wolf's mouth, because the 2 girls not only forcibly occupied him, but also tossed him all night without sleeping, and not only that, when they woke up the next day, they also made a mess in the kitchen. John was angry and asked the 2 to get out of the house quickly, but unexpectedly, the 2 girls were dead and refused to leave. Angry John picked up the phone and was about to call the police, but he didn't expect the 2 girls to panic at all. They said that they were minors. As long as John dared to call the police, they immediately said that they were victims, and on the surface, no one would believe that a strong man like John would be bullied by 2 underage girls. Not only that, the girl also said that they had not taken a bath from last night until now. If the police were called to the hospital for genetic testing, with their identity as minors, John would be sentenced to at least 2